Hey everybody, it's me and Baba. She wanted to come into the reading. I have to be mindful not to pet her too much because she'll be like, meow, like, all right, that's enough. You're the best. You're the best. I love her so much. So, I'm overwhelmed with everything that's been going on in my world. If you've noticed, I've been a little quiet. It's interesting because I've been quiet with you guys, but boy, I have been busy. So I was called to do this video as like a prequel to what's to come because, oh, I just got the chills. Oh my gosh, all my spirit guides, everybody right now. It's like so powerful. I knew when Baba came in, I knew this was going to be a biggie. She's holding space for us. She's just like, she's having me like, she's like pushing me back, like, just relax. Thank you. It's just really intense. There's a lot of energy here. So, this coming Friday is the first Friday the 13th of the new year of 2020. Um, is it? Or was last month? I just heard, wait. Well, I guess we'll go back and I'm here. I feel like there's like things just went off in like a lot of different directions. So I'm not really sure what that means. So I'm going to leave that alone. But either way, it's Friday the 13th, March. So it's 3/13/2020. Today is the 11th, actually, and Monday was the 9th. So, last Friday I did that show for you guys and I posted it. And, if you've been watching these videos, if you've been a part of this soul tribe for a while, you know that usually on full moons and new moons, I like to do like a reading for the tribe, right? And I thought that's what I was going to be doing. But the way things unfolded on Monday was just, oh my gosh, you guys. I mean, it's hard for me to really like put into words what happened. But basically, I was called to do a pick-a-pile reading. I knew last week I was going to do a pick-a-pile reading for this particular full moon, the worm moon, because it was the last full moon in the winter, cycle. And I mean, I can go on and on and on of like how powerful this moon was and, the end of Mercury retrograde, blah, blah, blah. And some people say Mercury went on a retrograde on the 2nd and we were in the shadow. I've heard different things and it's because I'm learning. I've been studying astrology with different people and I'm hearing different things. So I'm starting to like kind of like pull things back of like, even with myself, like I'm not 100% accurate, obviously, like I'm human. So I'm still learning. I'm going through my process, but I think other people are too. So I'm just going to say it's just been powerful. It's been really powerful. I mean, literally since the December portal, the 12/12 portal, so much has happened. And it's interesting to me that this particular week, with all these other things that are happening, the humans throw in the time change. And I've despised the time change ever since I can remember. And the only time I enjoy it is obviously in the fall when you gain an hour. But I feel like spring, it's like, it's not bad enough that like we're coming off, if some people you live in warm all year round, so maybe this isn't applicable to you. But I know for a lot of people like myself who live in, all 4 seasons, it's like coming off of winter, coming out of this like almost stalemate situation where, you're going through so much, especially for people like us going through so much inner stuff, and then we're getting ready for spring and the new, and there's a lot happening. But to like steal an hour away from us is kind of like a low blow. I feel like it's like, fuck off. You can't just like come and take an hour away from me. You don't have the fucking right to take an hour away from me. I actually stayed up during the time change. I stayed up just so that I can kind of like adjust myself. It was cool too. That could be a whole other show. That was an interesting evening, morning, whatever. But anyway, so I knew I was going to be doing this pick-a-pile reading, but on Monday when I started like going through the decks and talking to spirit and, obviously it was full moon, but was there going to be a theme? Was there an actual theme? And then I got into this meditative state and I was called to my past life cards. So I pulled a card for myself. I don't want to give too much away now. You'll hear it in, the reading. I'm halfway done. But I literally had to take a break though, because it was so overwhelming what I went through for piles 1 through 3. It was so overwhelming that I'm like, I'm going to do 4 and 5. Today's Wednesday, so I got time. But I need a day to rest. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so intense. But, the question was, which past life is holding us back? Like, what do we need to let go of from that past life so that we can move forward in this one? Like what's our stalemate? What's our roadblock? So this morning I was all day I've been in this really interesting place, but in this meditative state that I was in earlier, I was talking to Spirit about the ego. We were talking about the ego and how much, sorry, I'm going to like kind of lean back a little bit because I feel like Baba's like trying to get relaxed and I can't get relaxed unless she's relaxed. Okay, Gigi. We're going to relax. Everybody take a deep breath. I feel like, my pretty, my precious. But the ego is basically, it's just a stand-in for our higher self. And right now, especially as light workers, if you're a part of this tribe, if you're watching this right now, you were called to this reading. I asked Spirit, I put out a beacon of light and said, please let this reach all those who need to see it. But it's like, for us, we're integrating our human side and our spirit side, and as we're like integrating them, it's a little rough, right? Because like we're not fully locked in yet. So we're in these different areas of, integration. And so the ego is something that holds us back. But we have disguised our ego as a defense, like we are protecting ourselves, when in truth, we're always divinely protected. And all we have to do is call on our spirit guides to protect us. Sorry, Bubba, but I want to sit up. I feel too relaxed. There we go. Is that better? Okay. Oh, yes. She says that's good. That's good. What was that? Did you hear that too? I heard that too. What was that? It wasn't anything serious. Do you want to say anything to anybody? You want to say hi to Anna? But yeah, through this integration process, the ego, she's like, I'm going to go now. I'm like, that's okay, good. Because I'm like, I feel like I need to get more comfortable too and get more focused because there was so many energies coming in. I felt like some of hers too. But thank you, Baba. We had a great time. Thanks for coming by. She likes to just show up. But I'm like, I really want to talk about a lot of things. Let's take a break and drink some water. Because this pick a card, 5 different piles, pick a pile reading. It was so amazing what came through. And I don't want to say anything yet because I think it's really important that when the reading comes out, you see it. So I'm prefacing this by telling you that we all know, like, I record on my phone. And so I don't have fancy, cameras and things like that. But for some reason, sometimes my phone, spirit controls it. My higher self controls it. And sometimes I can go an hour, sometimes I can't. But when I started talking to Spirit on Monday and I saw how big this was going to be and I saw that it was going to be 5 piles, I was like, oh my gosh. And then when I saw all the different decks that wanted to come in, you guys, it was insane. Each pile had this many cards. It was crazy. So there was obviously no way I was going to put this all on one video, but I had no idea it was going to break up the way it was. So when you see the initial one, which will be like the introduction or whatever, I'll put introduction on there so that you'll see it. Each video, each past life is going to be labeled by where it's from. And, like the region or in some cases, the situation. That's all I can say. Yeah, I know, right? Like, stay tuned. It's exciting for me too, because I still haven't done piles 4 and 5. I mean, piles 1 through 3 took up 5 videos. And, some are 17 minutes long, some are 34 minutes long. No rhyme or reason. I had plenty of room. I went through and cleared out my phone. I have like almost twice the amount of room than I had all these other times I've been filming. Like, I really cleared out my phone. There's no rhyme or reason. However, when I started to do it, it made sense because some of them had multiple parts. Some of them had multiple things, and there were so many messages, and it was like, this is for a lot of people, right? So, obviously I'm doing a mass reading for a lot of people. It's not going, like I took from other people, and I say as well as, take from it what you need, leave behind what you don't, right? So these readings were so profound, and they went into really in-depth levels of things. But for me personally, dealing with some of my stuff has been so intense. And if any of you watched my video from my dad, there was a few readings and a few videos I did at the end of February 28th and 29th, around my dad's birthday. Would have been my dad's birthday. He's passed on now. His human birthday. He would have been 70. Hold on one second. Okay. Well, in one of those videos, I talk about how my dad, when my dad used to beat my mom, how the police would come to our house, and, how I had this fear around authority figures. So today, I'm thinking about, like, I realized after, midway through, I was going to try and press on today, and Spirit was like, no, like, like, you can do some today, but they were kind of like, this is so big. It's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than all of us. And our tribe is so profound. We really have some higher callings, and we're all feeling it now. And so I knew this was, this was going to be a no joke kind of reading. But anyway, in the one reading about my dad, I spoke about the police and the fear and all that. I want to get back to that because that's really important. So today, do you want to come back up? So today, no? Yes? Okay. I was talking to Spirit about ego and like all these different things, whatever. And I heard a knock on the door. And I thought it was my landlord because I thought I heard her leaving earlier, but sometimes I hear her leaving, but she's just like packing up her car, but she's not necessarily leaving yet. So I heard a knock on the door. It was kind of abrasive, and she doesn't normally knock like that. And normally she'll, like, if she is going to knock, she'll be like, hello. Like, she was like kind of announcing herself as she's coming by. She's so cute. But this wasn't. It was weird. I heard like nothing, and then I heard like, and I'm like, oh, it was like 9:30 or whatever. I'm like, okay, And I said, hold on. And then I heard, okay. And then I realized it wasn't Sarah. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my God, it's those fucking cops again. And I was like, they were just here. Today's the 11th. They were here on my dad's birthday on the 28th. So I'm like, that's like not even fully 2 weeks ago. And from what I understand, when the DOC does come around on random checks, it's like once a month or something. So they don't, like, from what I understand, they don't like track you down till they find you. I mean, especially because Ed's part of a program where he has to go to a weekly like therapy session. So like he checks in like with the state weekly, like, so it doesn't even like make sense. Like, it was just really, really weird. But the craziest part about all of this story is that before they showed up, I was watching that, because I don't always watch my videos, you know what I mean? Like, I post them. Sometimes I'm called to watch them. Certain readings I'm called to watch them because I told you I was going to give you stuff, and so I have to go back in and like put them in. Sometimes I forget, and I'm sorry if I do. And if you really need something and you don't know, ask a question on the bottom, and I'll find it for you if you can't find it yourself. Sometimes it's just because it's your job to find it yourself. But it was bizarre because I was eating breakfast and I was called to watch that video from my dad. And it was just nuts. I was like on that part about the cops or whatever. And like, she shows up, the cops show up again. So it was just really bizarre. And then I realized that Spirit wanted me to talk about fear and control and ego. And I was like, wow. But then they also wanted me to like kind of like preface that this huge reading is coming down the line. So the other thing I want to say about the reading is, and we'll come back to that, but isn't that nuts? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Spirit, no, they're saying finish that. So what they were saying is like, it's like, it'll keep coming for you. It'll keep coming for you. And when I realized it was them, I wasn't like scared, because I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm not doing anything wrong. And I did, smoke a little weed when I woke up, but I was like, before my meditation, but I was like, I wasn't as concerned. Let's put it that way. Even though they were showing up again, I just wasn't. So it's interesting how before I opened the door, I just got like this, sorry, the spirits were talking to me. I got this pit in my stomach, and it was the fear pit. And I realized, why do I have fear? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm in my home. I'm, like, I'm not doing anything wrong, but I do hold fear for my partner, who is like 2 months away from, he's been going through this for 2 years, and he's 2 months from being set free from this, and I said, don't you think it's interesting how they've been amping things up for you? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, because I texted him, and told him that, whatever. I just think it's really interesting, like these things are happening. It's like, it's almost like, are they doing it because, you know what I mean? Like I cannot help but always like think of like, we all have motives. Even if we don't understand a motive, there's always a motive behind what we're doing. There is. End of story. There's always a motive. And that's ego, right? Our ego, wants something. Our ego needs something, whether it's to be satiated. I love that word. Layla, my shaman, gave me that, whether it's to be satiated in the knowing and the calmness of the knowing that, everything's okay. Or is it like, like, I feel like basically, sorry, I'm going to turn the heat down. I started to like get really hot. Oh, good. I could take the blanket off. Good. By the way, I had that on because of the red, because the red's for protection, but the spirits are talking to me. I didn't realize we were going to kind of do this impromptu reading too. I feel like this was like a real talk, but drink some water. Oh, okay. Because they're saying like, they're giving me words to say, and I'm kind of going through them really like cautiously, like a minefield, because this is public knowledge, right? Like, I'm talking about things that are public. I'm speaking my truth about what's happening. But when I was a child, I was raised, in a very stern, authority driven world. I was born in 1971. And, growing up in the 70s and the 80s, it's like we still were in that, like, you do as you're told. The world has changed a lot since I was born, and I'm in gratitude for it in many ways, obviously. But in other ways, we've kind of gone a little willy-nilly too, where we've lost a lot of respect for ourselves and each other, because we were so controlled that when we finally kind of like broke free from that, I know from my generation of my friends who have children, some of them are disciplined, some of them are not. And they're like, I didn't want to hit my kids like my parents hit me, or I didn't want to, punish my children or shame my children or whatever. And as my one friend calls it, in the everybody gets a trophy society, there's really awesome things behind that, but then there's also other parts of that, right? Because there's always a balance of like, like kind of like a give and take. And so I feel like a fear-based emotion is that our freedom will be taken away. And, especially for my partner who has worked so hard. I mean, I've watched a lot of people change, myself included. I've watched a lot of people grow and expand and evolve, but every time Ed and I have had it's his journey, but I've been a part of it. But every time he's had a setback, it's also been a setback in our relationship, because I have taken control of like my life now, instead of like enabling or, being codependent on someone else's energy, or like, them being in my life. And so it's been interesting for Edward and I. It's been the most beautiful experience of my life, like growing with another person this intimately. But at the same time, I know how this world is working and how it deflects and controls and the ego-based emotions. And as my throat chakra, my spirit's like, just spit it out, say it. This fucked up controlled society, right? There, I said it. It's all ego driven, and ego is like, like I said, it's like the stand-in for spirit. The ego wants things, needs things. The ego protects us, and it's good for a lot of things. However, if we rely too much on the ego, or we let the ego control too much of what's happening, we're not dealing with what's right in front of us. That's why when I was called to do this large reading, it was, like really like facing our past life. You may pick one pile, you may pick two, you may pick all five. Honestly, I haven't done the actual readings for 4 and 5, but I've like pulled all the cards before they started. So like all day Monday on the 9th, like on the full moon, like I was like in that fucking energy, man. Like me and Virgo, we just like took it like by the fucking balls, and like we just like worked and spirit, and like we just worked, and it was just amazing. And you guys are powerful beings. But the past life stuff that was coming up, I felt something from everyone when I was pulling the cards. So you may feel that way too, or you may be like, no, I've already healed that. But what I realized was like one pile in particular I was really drawn to, and it started the whole reading. The whole entire reading was from pile, I'm just going to say this because they're like, it's fine, you could say it. I'm just going to say pile number 3. Pile number 3 started the entire reading, which is kind of interesting because it's 5 cards. And if you, look at it like it's in the middle, 3's in the middle, right? So there was just so many taglines of the other past lives too that were connected to mine. And I have a feeling a lot of you are going to be pulled to pile 3, just because I think that, a lot of us have lived here many times. A lot of us have been here from the beginning of mankind. And I just watched this reading recently from this healer who I really respect, and I just love her stuff. And she's really been into the star seeds. It's interesting. I've been following this healer for quite some time. It's weird. I can never remember her name. I don't know why. And I've put her links down below. But love her stuff. And she just did a reading recently about star seeds. I'll try and find it like I did last time and put it here so that you guys can see it. But it was interesting because same thing, I was pulled to all of the piles, but pile number 3 was like really profound, because even though I feel Arcturian now, like I feel like I've claimed this Arcturian status, I also resonated with it. She said, I think if you picked this pile, she goes, I think you guys are from somewhere that we don't even know about yet. Like she goes, I think she's like, I'm serious. She's like, it was just really cool the way, and I was like, and I just felt this feeling come over my body, and I was like, yes. And I said it, I was talking to Ed about it, and I go, it's not ego. I go, it's soul knowledge. I go, however, because I was raised with so many narcissists, so many manipulative narcissists all around me, my friends, my family, teachers, the religious leaders in my life, just so much manipulation, so much coercion, so much control, just so much deflection of their selves. I realized like how much I was allowing the human like embrace ego take over my higher self. And even though I've been integrating them, it's like I'm in this process now where it's like it's just really uncomfortable. It's just really uncomfortable because I'm almost like stuck. I can't go back here, and I'm not totally here yet. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of in this like, and I don't know if you guys feel that too. So dealing with that. Oh, I'm sorry if I put that out there because I was like, ooh, that was a lot of energy. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, that's what that was for. Where'd it go? I had some rosemary. Oh, ha ha ha. Grapefruit and tea tree oil. That's why they asked to come in. Yes, a little calming, healing. Right? So we are working through some major transformations, and dealing with the past life stuff is really going to help. So I highly recommend that when that reading comes out on the 13th that you look for it. And like I said, they were broken up into all these videos, but I realized it had to be because, pile number 3 was 3 videos, and it was like, holy shit. and it resonated with me. But that's why, I mean, Monday I was in my own thing with spirit, and then we were like pulling the cards, and I mean, it took me, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours before I even started the readings that I was working with spirit, like, and then, I did pile 1, pile 2, and then I started pile 3. And then like spirit was like, nope, you're done. After like 17 minutes, there was absolutely no explanation. I had tons of, I was like, and me, I get mad because I want to control it, but I can't. And then later spirit was like, listen, you needed to take a fucking break. And I did. Like, I was feeling so tired, and you'll hear, I'm just like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And some of the videos, like for like pile one could end where it ended on video 1, but on the, or pile 1 introduction video, but then on the pile 2 video, the first minute is from pile 2, but it's like, if you're meant to see it, you'll see it. If you're not, whatever. And then like pile 2 is, I think pile 2 goes into pile 3. Excuse me. Anyway, you'll see it. I can't, my brain is so fried and so full, and I'm like, I need to take a break. But I just thought, I knew spirit told me I was going to do like this kind of like real talk, downloading, episode, and I knew I was going to be talking about the pick a pile reading, but man, I did not know those fucking cops were going to come back again. And they just rattle my cage because, I mean, think about it, as a small child. Oh, they wanted me to talk about this too. So interestingly enough as well, Ed and I have been watching, season 3 of, is that a spider? I was going to get excited and be like, hello. We just finished season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale. If you haven't watched that show, you have to watch it, especially if you're a woman. I mean, and I will not give anything away, but if you've already seen it, don't give any spoilers out on the bottom. But if you've seen it, so we watched the last 2 episodes of season 3 last night, and they were so intense. And then to have the cops show up here this morning, I just, I realized like what my medicine, like I realized like what I'm going through. And that's the trust thing, because I don't trust authority. I didn't trust authority when I was a child, and I don't trust them now. And authority, I mean like government, because I always like sensed that their agenda was for a very selfish purpose. I was, I'm a soul, like I'm a heart-centered love being, right? I'm a light being having a human experience. So I'm full of love. And it's like that scene from, what was that movie when Mandy Moore whips the Bible at what's her name? And she's like, I'm full of Christ's love. What was that movie? With Macaulay Culkin. Oh, it'll come to me. But you know what I mean? Like where she's like, the Christian girl gets pregnant. Oh, Amanda Bynes. Is that Amanda Bynes? I think it is. That beautiful soul. But anyway, I'm getting off. But you know what I mean? It's like I was full of Christ's love for real. Like I really had these relationships with these higher beings, when my father and my mother would get into these really tumultuous fights, or my house was just a really bad place. Like, I would astral travel, and every time I astral traveled, I would bring back these protectors, and they lived in like my dolls, my teddy bears. And, I've talked about this before, like, there's certain things that I'll bring up to my mom, and she'll say it never happened. And I'm like, I know it happened. Like, I remember it happening. And then I realized, I'm like, well, maybe it didn't happen the way it happened for her, because I was the one having the experience, number one. And number two, I saw and felt and heard things that other people weren't acknowledging. And, it wasn't until I got to an age that it was 28, 19 when I looked down. My dad's birthday is the 28th. That's crazy. And his death day, and Ed's birthday. Ed was born on my dad's death day. Isn't that crazy? So just, anyway, I'm getting off topic, but, I just started to realize like how much I have, like, I cannot talk to my family anymore. I just can't. Not now. I'm not saying forever, but like I need to do what I need to do. And I have spent my life protecting my family and my friends from the ugliness and the truth of things that have happened to me or whatever. And I realized, I was watching this reading, and she was talking about us as starseeds, and talking about, getting back to that reading. I think it was that one. I watched a few readings yesterday, but I'm going to claim that one right now. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But basically she was just saying like that we were so pure, and that we come from such a light source that we don't like see things the way other people see things. Right. So if people, so like your family, your friends, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the things that we have wrapped up in, like, they're not going to like me or they won't love me, that's ego based. And she said in the reading, why are you protecting these people? These are the people who have hurt you, who have wronged you, and you are still protecting them. And oh boy, I had a flood of, like, Ed came back from work last night and I was telling him about it, and I just was like, I started bawling, and I'm like, that's so true. I've tried so hard to protect people in my life for doing really horrible, shitty things, whether to me or other people, and saying like, well, they didn't mean it, or, because I have done horrible, shitty things to people. So I didn't want to be judged. Right. And now that I've, like, worked on my stuff and have come to terms with that and have, made, amends in those areas of my life, especially with certain people. There were certain people that we had a horrible relationship for years, but I approached them and was like, hey, I want you in my life, or, I'm sorry this went down this way. Do you want to work things out? And we have, and we're still friends now, but it's like, why are we protecting people who have no problem, that would be mean to us or hurt us? Why are we protecting them? These authority figures, like these cops, they would come into our house after my dad would beat my mom, and they were protecting my dad. Not me, not my sister, not my brother, not my mom. They were protecting my dad. He was the perpetrator. He was the one that was doing it. He was the one that was beating her. He was the one, at 2:00 in the morning when we had to get up for school, and he didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, we're the ones that had to deal with that. But here are these authority figures. It was like The Handmaid's Tale. It's like, there's so much wrong happening, and all these people are just idly standing by and allowing it to happen. People are cherry picking what should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed. So I encourage you to watch this past life reading, because it helped me realize, like, with the cops coming back here again today, I was like, oh my gosh, I have been in fear of authority most of my lives. I've been killed, murdered, or tortured, or all of the above, raped, victimized, whatever. Things have happened to me while I stood up for myself or other people, or in what I saw as God, and not what the authority, the church, all this stuff now, like with this virus, how they put it out there. I had to stop looking. I haven't even turned on my other phone. I don't even know how long. It's been I don't remember how long. So that's how long it's been, because I can't even turn on my phone. I just can't right now. And I don't want to deal with anybody else's stuff. I can't go there. I can't feel it. I don't want to know. I'm just giving it to God and Goddess, the creator, and let them sort it out. Let people sort out their spirit stuff. I'm hearing wrap it up. Okay. So if this gets cut off, then that's where it's meant to be, and I will leave it. So thank you for coming by, but I'm going to finish this thought. And if I don't, then I wasn't supposed to finish it. But it's a facade. It's fake. It's what they've been doing. It's been the look at the monkey. I'll give you this. Da, da, da. Don't you want this pretty shiny thing? Okay, look at the monkey. And they're like, yeah, but they're actually they're giving you something, but they're taking something away from you. Well, they're taking away your power. They're taking away your control. And, how are we supposed to evolve? This is an evolutionary process. We were meant to evolve this way. They're holding us back. They're holding back evolution out of greed. They're trying to figure out a way to evolve. They're like, okay, fine. We don't want to kill the planet. We want to live here and rule it. But you know what I mean? So they're trying to figure out, but they're just trying to find a new way. They're like, hey, let's put out this virus. Let's scare the shit out of people. It's an election year. Everybody's scared. Let's scare the fuck out of everybody. Oh, when I looked down, it was 33. That I will put in there, down below, because I think you all know. You know what I mean? So, they're triggering our past lives. Social media is the biggest scam in history. It's the biggest mass-controlled scam in history. And anybody can control anything they want. That's why it's so crazy right now, why everything feels like it's run amok. Right? Don't let them control you. Don't let them take your power. And don't let your ego, connect with your higher self. The more you pull away from everybody in all these situations and you ground and center yourself, the more you'll deal with it. Like, I realize clearly I have to work, I'm pointing to my door. I have to work on that fear-based with authority, right? And so did Ed. You know, this isn't the first time he's gotten into trouble, but it's the last time. You know what he's been saying, like, you know, like that's why he's been working so hard. And every time he's fallen down, he gets back up like a fucking warrior that he is. And I'm just supporting him, trying to, you know, support him. This is a huge thing he's going through. I'm really proud of him. Not many people would face the kind of pain and suffering that he has faced in the last 2 years. Not many people. So anyway, I'm going to leave it on that note and say, I look forward to putting out the pick a pile reading this Friday the 13th. Look for that. I don't know if I'll post anything else in between, but either way, look out for it. It's going to be a 5-card pick a pile reading, and it's going to be about what you need to release from your past life. All right. Thanks, you guys. I love you. I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Oh.